Lewis Hamilton's much-hyped move to the legendary Italian squad has taken an unexpected detour, and not the kind he'd like. Recent developments have cast a bit of a shadow over the seven-time world champion's grand entrance, especially when stacked up against his new teammate, Charles Leclerc. On February 2, 2025, Ferrari held a private filming day at their Fiorano test track, giving both Hamilton and Leclerc their first crack at the new SF25 Challenger for the upcoming season. Now, let's be real. This shakedown was a big deal. It was the only chance these guys had to get a feel for their new toy before the official pre-season testing in Bahrain on February 26th. But here's where things get juicy. According to unofficial data leaked by the Spanish outlet Marca, Hamilton's best lap around Fiorano was 0.8 seconds slower than Leclerc's. Yeah, you read that right. That's not just a small gap. It's the kind of delta that makes eyebrows hit the roof in the paddock and fuels a million hot takes about whether Hamilton is struggling to adapt to his new red beast. Of course, before we all start screaming "washed" at the top of our lungs, it's worth remembering that this wasn't a proper test. The session was run on those funky Pirelli demo tires, which are about as representative of race day rubber as a pair of flip-flops are to running shoes. And Ferrari, being Ferrari, decided to keep things hush-hush, refusing to release any official report because, well, filming day, or something. But let's be honest, nobody in the F1 world is going to ignore a nearly 1 second gap between teammates. It gets even spicier when you look at what happened earlier this month during a tire test in Barcelona. On day 1, Hamilton barely edged out Leclerc by 0.130 seconds. But on day 2, tables turned hard, with Hamilton trailing by a jaw-dropping 1.788 seconds. Now Pirelli, the tire overlords, tried to calm the storm, saying these lap times mean diddly squat because teams were running different programs. A spokesperson even emphasized that comparing Ferrari's laps to McLaren's, who were also on track, was about as useful as comparing apples to, well, spaghetti. Still, despite all the don't panic messages, the fact that Hamilton keeps lagging behind Leclerc hasn't gone unnoticed. Italian media, including Il Corridor d'Auto outlet, yep, sounds fancy, tried to put things into perspective. Apparently, Ferrari had both drivers running completely different agendas during the Fiorano test. Leclerc, the seasoned Ferrari man, jumped in and started pushing the car to the limit straight away. Because, well, he already knows the drill. Hamilton, on the other hand, had a different mission. Getting comfortable and figuring out what exactly he needs from the car and the team to kick off the season on the right foot. That explains part of the time difference. But not enough to make people stop talking. And let's not ignore the elephant in the garage. Hamilton's one-lap pace struggles in 2024. The British driver spent most of last season getting schooled by George Russell in qualifying, finishing behind him in 19 out of 24 races. It all came to a head in Qatar, when Hamilton himself bluntly admitted, "I'm just not fast anymore." Yikes. Now, it's way too early to declare that Hamilton is doomed to Ferrari, but let's just say that if things don't turn around soon, the headlines are going to get a whole lot uglier. When a guy like Lewis Hamilton, who's practically rewritten the rulebook on success in Formula One, admits he's not as fast as he used to be, you can bet your ass the entire sport takes notice. His words sent shockwaves through the paddock and, let's be honest, they add a whole new layer of context to his current struggles at Ferrari. Maybe this isn't just about getting used to a new car or a new team. Maybe it runs deeper than that. Meanwhile, on the other side of the garage, Charles Leclerc has cemented himself as one of the absolute fastest qualifiers on the grid since joining Ferrari in 2019. The Monégasque driver has bagged a jaw-dropping 26 pole positions, which, just to put into perspective, is 4 more than Fernando Alonso, despite the Spaniard's ridiculously long career that kicked off way back in 2001. But here's the catch. Leclerc's insane one-lap speed hasn't always translated into race day dominance. So far, he's only managed to turn those 26 pole positions into 8 victories. Yeah, not exactly the best conversion rate. Compare that to Hamilton, who's sitting pretty on a record-breaking 105 race wins, the most recent one coming at Spa in July 2024. Then there's the age factor, which spices up this whole rivalry even more. Hamilton, at 40 years old, is going head-to-head with a teammate who's more than a decade younger. That's a pretty stark contrast. And just to really hammer it home, Leclerc, who'll be turning 28 by the end of the 2025 season, is considered part of F1's next generation. But does the age gap really matter? Leclerc doesn't think so. When asked if his youth might give him an edge over the course of F1's grueling 24-race calendar, he pretty much shrugged it off, saying, "I don't know, man. I've never been 12 years older than myself, so it's hard to say. But from what I've seen, Lewis is in damn good shape, so I don't think it'll make a difference at all. He doubled down on that by adding, honestly, he seems super motivated to kick off this new chapter in his career, so I really don't think age is going to be a factor in what we see on track. And he's got a point. Hamilton has always been known for keeping himself in top physical shape. But let's not kid ourselves. Fitness is only part of the battle. The real mindfuck here is the mental strain of adapting to a completely new environment after spending over a decade at Mercedes. Hamilton himself hasn't sugar-coated it. He's openly admitted that getting used to Ferrari's way of doing things has been a challenge. Speaking to the press, including Total Motorsport, he put it bluntly. I'm still adjusting to a completely new car, a totally different way of working. And yeah, this isn't just any team switch. It's way more dramatic than when he left McLaren for Mercedes back in 2013. Back then, at least both teams used Mercedes power units, so the transition was relatively smooth. Ferrari, though, that's a whole different beast. Now he's dealing with an entirely new power unit system, a completely different steering setup, and even the smallest details, like where the hell all the buttons are on the damn steering wheel. Even Ferrari's software systems are different from what he was used to at Mercedes. So, on top of having to learn new race strategies and car behavior, the guy also has to reprogram his muscle memory for basic operations. Add that to the pressure of driving for Italy's national obsession, and it's clear Hamilton isn't just adjusting to a new car. He's basically learning a whole new language. Welcome to Ferrari, Lewis. Hope you pack some extra patience. Yeah, I definitely need to tweak my driving style. That's how Hamilton summed up the massive changes he's dealing with. And let's be real, it's not just about adjusting to a new car. The dude basically moved countries, shifting from Mercedes HQ in Brackley to Ferrari's iconic base in Maranello, a casual 853-mile relocation. That's not just a different team, that's a whole new way of life. But the biggest headache? The steering system. According to Hamilton, it's completely alien compared to what he was used to at Mercedes. Even the damn buttons on the steering wheel are in different spots, forcing him to relearn basic operations like he's a rookie again. And don't even get him started on Ferrari's software, it's a whole different beast. Despite all this, Lewis isn't drowning in self-pity. He's taking it one step at a time, saying he actually feels pretty solid in the car and is laser-focused on getting things right before the Australian Grand Prix. And why wouldn't he be? The man's gunning for his 9th pole position at Albert Park. Social media drama. Is Hamilton finished or just warming up? Meanwhile, the internet, being the wonderful rational place that it is, has erupted into a full-blown meltdown over Hamilton's supposedly sluggish start at Ferrari. Some fans straight up writing his obituary. The man knows he's washed. We all love Ferrari, we all want this to work, but let's be honest, this is just PR talk. So, what he's really saying is he's a whole second per lap slower than Charles. Bro, he's cooked. Ouch. But not everyone's hitting the panic button. Others are urging common sense. Classic negativity about Lewis. The guy is still figuring out the damn car, while Charles has been here for years. Honestly, I expected worse. Keep grinding, Lewis. Red Bull. From untouchable to uncertain. While the world obsesses over Hamilton's Ferrari saga, Red Bull, the undisputed kings of F1 in recent years, might just be on the verge of a crisis heading into 2025. Not long ago, these guys looked unstoppable. Their 2024 season kicked off with a bang, with Max Verstappen winning 7 of the first 10 races. The RB20 was hailed as the best car on the grid, and it seemed like another year of Red Bull domination was locked in. Then, shit hit the fan. After Verstappen's 7th victory in Spain, Red Bull suddenly fell off a cliff. A shocking 10-race winless streak followed, a brutal contrast to their early season form. What the hell happened? 2 words. Development issues. Oh, and let's not forget some key personnel changes that shook the team to its core. The Adrian Newey bombshell. One of the biggest gut punches for Red Bull? The departure of Adrian Newey, the god-tier engineer responsible for designing some of the greatest F1 cars in history. His move to Aston Martin sent shockwaves through the paddock, and trust me, Red Bull felt the aftershocks immediately. In an interview with Auto Motor UND Sport, Newey didn't hold back. He hinted that Red Bull was already dealing with major problems before he even left. From what I could see, the 2024 car, and honestly, even at the end of 23, was already starting to become more difficult to drive. Of course, Max could handle it. It didn't suit him, but he managed. Checo, not so much. Newey also suggested that the performance gap between Verstappen and Perez started widening around 2020, and by 2024, it was glaringly obvious. Basically, Max was out there muscling through an increasingly unstable car, while Checo looked like he was fighting a losing battle. And while the RB20 was still fast enough to hold its own, the cracks in Red Bull's armor were becoming impossible to ignore. Now, as we head into 2025, the big question isn't, can Red Bull dominate again? It's, can they even keep up? Yeah, I was starting to get a little worried. But weirdly enough, no one else in the team seemed too bothered. From the outside looking in, and I don't really know the Red Bull guys, so this isn't me throwing shade, but honestly, I think they just kept pushing in the same damn direction out of inexperience. And before they knew it, the problem snowballed to the point where even Max was struggling to drive the car. That's a pretty damning admission. It raises some serious questions about Red Bull's development strategy and whether they can keep their edge without a steady hand guiding the ship. Red Bull's exodus. Losing key players at the worst time. Newey's departure wasn't a one-off disaster. It was part of a wider brain drain at Red Bull. The team also lost some big-time personnel, including their longtime sporting director Jonathan Wheatley and chief strategist Will Courtney. With all these exits, Red Bull has been forced into a major reshuffle just as they gear up for the 2025 season. Christian Horner, Red Bull's big boss, hasn't sugar-coated their struggles with last year's RB20. He openly admitted that an upgrade introduced around the Imola Grand Prix screwed up the car's balance, making it ridiculously sensitive and hard to drive consistently, even for a guy like Max Verstappen. Horner explained it like this: if you hit the sweet spot, like those 4 perfect laps in Austria that were good enough for pole, everything was golden. But if you were even a fraction off, boom, the car became a nightmare to handle. To fix this mess, Red Bull's engineers have been grinding all winter to widen the RB21's performance window. Horner made it clear: we're not necessarily chasing outright performance gains. We're focused on making the car more forgiving across different circuits and conditions. This suggests Red Bull is playing the long game, prioritizing consistency over raw speed. And honestly, that might be the smartest move they can make, considering how insanely competitive the 2025 season is shaping up to be. McLaren and Ferrari are both coming in hot, and Red Bull's stranglehold on F1 is far from secure. The 2026 nightmare. Red Bull's engine gamble. But as much as Red Bull has to worry about the here and now, an even bigger monster is lurking on the horizon: the 2026 regulation changes. These new rules are going to shake up the technical landscape, especially in the power unit department. And guess what? Red Bull doesn't have a safety net this time. For the first time, Red Bull Powertrains is building its own damn engine from scratch. That's a monumental challenge, especially when they'll be going up against Mercedes, Ferrari, and Honda, manufacturers with decades of experience in this game. And according to reports from Autosprint, Red Bull's early engine prototypes are already showing cracks. Performance issues? Check. Reliability problems? Check. Now, is it too soon to hit the panic button? Yeah, probably. But let's not pretend that Red Bull isn't scrambling behind the scenes to make up for lost ground. And that brings us to the biggest question of all: how long before Max Verstappen loses his patience? Let's be real. Max has been the heart and soul of Red Bull's dominance. But here's the thing about serial winners: they don't wait around for teams to figure their shit out. If Red Bull drops the ball, whether in 2025 or with their 2026 engine project, how long before Max starts eyeing the exit? Because if they can't give him a title contending car, you can bet your ass someone else will. Verstappen's future. A ticking time bomb? Max Verstappen's dad, Jos, who's never been shy about speaking his mind, has made it crystal clear: his son needs a car capable of winning races. And if Red Bull can't deliver, well, let's just say the rumor mill is already working overtime. Whispers about a potential move to Mercedes have been floating around, and some are even speculating about a shock switch to Aston Martin, where Max could reunite with Adrian Newey. Now that would be a wild plot twist. But for now, Red Bull boss Christian Horner, or as some call him, the new kid on the block in this Verstappen drama, insists that Max isn't going anywhere. He's recently said he loves being part of this team and fully intends to stay, Horner declared. Yeah, sure. But here's the thing. Intentions in F1 are about as stable as a house of cards in a hurricane. If the car isn't up to scratch, you can bet your ass Verstappen's loyalty will be re-evaluated real quick. Red Bull's make-or-break moment. Heading into 2025, Red Bull is standing at a massive crossroads. Their ability to fix the flaws of the RB20, integrate new personnel, and prepare for the radical 2026 regulations will determine whether they stay on top, or if their era of dominance ends with a whimper. Now, here's where things get interesting. Because of their third-place finish in the 2024 Constructors' Championship, Red Bull gets extra wind tunnel time. Sounds like a win, right? Well, not so fast. On one hand, more development time means a better shot at improving the car. On the other, it's a painful reminder of how far they've fallen from their once unshakable dominance. Pierre watches. Cautious optimism. Red Bull's technical director, Pierre Watch, put it bluntly. It could be a huge advantage for 2026, but only if we use it right. F1 doesn't always work that way, but it's a positive, and we need to capitalize on it. Translation: we have an opportunity, but we better not fuck it up. And that's where things get tricky. Balancing the 2025 fight while also preparing for the massive shake-up in 2026 is like walking a tightrope with no safety net. Watch summed it up. If we find big performance gains for 2026, the temptation will be to go all in on the future. But if we're fighting for the 2025 title, and I think we will be, there's no way we throw that away. We'll start the season with a strategy. But let's be real, that strategy could change overnight. Basically, Red Bull has some serious multitasking to do, and how well they handle it could make or break their next era. Williams' game-changing partnership. The start of an epic comeback? While Red Bull is busy figuring out how not to implode, another team is making serious power moves. Williams Racing just secured a game-changing deal with tech giant Atlassian, injecting millions into the struggling team. And with Santander also backing them, this could be the spark that catapults Carlos Sainz into podium contention, turning Williams from backmarkers into serious midfield contenders. Could this be the beginning of an epic comeback? Before we dive into that, hit that subscribe button, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Williams. From rock bottom to revival? This partnership is huge for Williams, a team that hasn't seen a victory since 2012 and finished a depressing 9th in the 2024 Constructors' standings. Atlassian's cash injection and cutting-edge tech might just be the game-changer Williams needs to climb back up the competitive ladder. And make no mistake, Atlassian isn't some small-time player. They're the company behind Jira and Confluence, two of the most powerful project management tools out there, and they're worth billions. The fact that they're diving into F1? That's a serious statement of intent. While the financial details of the deal remain under wraps, industry insiders speculate that this could be one of the biggest sponsorships in F1 history. So, is Williams about to shock the world? Stay tuned, because shit's about to get interesting. Williams' money train keeps rolling. Can they finally escape the basement? This game-changing deal with Atlassian comes hot on the heels of another major partnership. Their freshly minted sponsorship with Santander, announced shortly after the 2024 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And here's the kicker. Santander didn't just randomly pick Williams. Nope, the Spanish banking giant followed Carlos Sainz straight from Ferrari to his new home. That's a big-ass statement. Williams, a team that's been scraping by on pocket change for years, is suddenly pulling in heavyweight sponsors. And in the high-stakes casino that is F1, money talks loudly. Williams' financial struggles, a thing of the past? For way too long, Williams has been running on a shoestring budget, which, surprise, surprise, has completely screwed their ability to keep up with the rapid tech advancements in modern F1. Limited cash meant they were stuck playing catch-up in crucial areas like aerodynamics, which, let's be honest, has been miserable. Materials science, because cutting-edge carbon fiber ain't cheap. Data analysis, where top teams are already light years ahead. Take the 2024 season, for example. Williams' FW46 was a bloated disaster, with weight issues that cost them precious lap time and torpedoed their performance. But now, with Atlassian's fat paycheck, Williams finally has the firepower to attack some key weaknesses, starting with aero development. Aerodynamics, the key to speeding the hell up. In F1, aerodynamics is king, Period. And with more cash in the bank, Williams can finally step up their game in wind tunnel testing and computational fluid dynamics, CFD, simulations. What does that mean in plain English? Sharper front and rear wing designs, more efficient underbody aerodynamics, slimmer, more effective side pods, all of which should mean less drag, more downforce, and a car that isn't a complete handful to drive. Weight reduction, because every gram counts. F1 teams obsess over weight because, well, every damn gram matters. A lighter car means better acceleration, improved tire wear, and sharper handling. Williams' new financial boost could finally let them experiment with next-gen carbon fiber composites, high-tech alloys, 3D printed lightweight components. Translation: a sleeker, faster machine, without turning it into a fragile piece of crap. Power unit and cooling, keeping it cool, literally. Even though Williams runs Mercedes engines, how those power units are integrated into the chassis plays a massive role in performance. With fresh investment, they can finally focus on better energy recovery systems, for more power where it counts, optimized cooling solutions, to avoid overheating in brutal races like Bahrain and Abu Dhabi, strategic exhaust placement, to squeeze every ounce of efficiency out of the setup. Why does this matter? Because in hot weather races, Williams has been cooked alive in past seasons. Fixing their cooling issues could finally stop the bleeding. Data and strategy. Atlassian's secret weapon. In today's F1, data is everything, and Atlassian's expertise in project management and data handling could give Williams a serious edge. Think about it. Faster, smarter pit stops, better real-time strategy adjustments, sharper race simulations and driver feedback loops. This could be a total game changer, letting Williams make split-second decisions that might actually put them in the fight, instead of just making up the numbers. Carlos Sainz, the man leading Williams' revival. And let's not forget the biggest piece of the puzzle, Carlos Sainz. The four-time race winner shocked the paddock when he ditched Ferrari for Williams. But make no mistake, this was a major win for the team. His 2024 campaign saw him bag victories in Australia and Mexico, proving he still got the skills to take on the best of the best. Williams had to fend off interest from Audi and Alpine to lock him down, and now, he's all in on bringing them back to the top. Sainz's impact. Already making waves. Sainz has wasted zero time getting to work. His recent testing session at Barcelona provided critical feedback, helping shape the development path for Williams' FW47 Challenger. James Vowles, Williams' team principal, isn't hiding his excitement. Carlos has an incredible ability to pinpoint exactly where improvements are needed. He's going to be a vital piece of our long-term success strategy. Translation: Williams isn't playing around anymore. The big question: can Williams pull off a comeback? With Atlassian's funding, Santander's backing, and a proven race winner behind the wheel, Williams has all the pieces to finally break out of F1's basement. But can they turn this financial boost into actual race results? 2025 will tell us everything. Sainz and Albon, Williams' new dynamic duo. One of the most intriguing storylines for Williams in 2025 is the partnership between Carlos Sainz and his new teammate Alex Albon. Albon, who managed to pull off some seriously impressive drives in 2024 despite Williams' dumpster fire of a car, now has the chance to level up big time. With Sainz bringing a wealth of race-winning experience and a deep technical understanding, their combined firepower could push the entire team to new heights. If these two get on the same page and work together to develop the car around their strengths, Williams might just have a shot at punching above their weight in the midfield battle. Valentine's Day surprise. Williams' big reveal at Silverstone. Williams is gearing up for 2025, and all eyes are on February 14th, when they'll unveil the FW47 at Silverstone. Yeah, that's right. While the rest of the world is busy with chocolates and overpriced roses, Williams is giving us something actually worth celebrating. A brand new car. And they're not just rolling it out like any other launch. Oh no. Williams is planning to show it off in a special one-off livery, cranking up the hype for what they're hoping will be their most competitive machine in years. But the timing of this reveal? Very deliberate. Williams is dropping their car just 4 days before F1's first ever collective season launch event in London, where all 10 teams and 20 drivers will be present. What's the strategy here? Simple. Steal the spotlight before the big show even starts. By launching early, Williams gets to hog the headlines and drum up excitement for their new machine and their fresh sponsorship deals, all while still following F1's new launch regulations. 2025. A realistic rebuild or a Cinderella story? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Williams isn't about to start fighting for championships overnight. That's just not how this sport works. But finishing in the points consistently? Becoming a regular player in the midfield dogfight? Maybe even sneaking onto the podium if the stars align? Now that isn't completely out of the question. Since their last win in Spain 2012, shout out to Pastor Maldonado, the legend, Williams has been on a roller coaster of mediocrity, occasionally showing flashes of competitiveness before falling back into the abyss. 2025 could finally be the year they start to claw their way back toward respectability, and maybe, just maybe, lay the groundwork for something bigger. Atlassian deal. A power move for the future. Williams' blockbuster sponsorship deal with Atlassian isn't just about padding their bank account. It fits perfectly into James Vowles' long-term vision for the team. Vowles, who took over as team boss in 2023, has been busting his ass to rebuild Williams' infrastructure and competitiveness from the ground up. And this high-profile partnership isn't just a quick financial boost. It sends a clear message to the entire F1 world. Williams is dead serious about getting back to the front. For the first time in a long time, this team is showing signs of real ambition. Now, all that's left is to see if they can turn that ambition into results.